What would you do if the woman you loved, the one you built a life with, whispered sweet nothings to another man, just feet from where you lay, feigning sleep? The digital glow of her phone screen painted the ceiling of our bedroom in our Chicago brownstone, a cruel beacon in the suffocating darkness. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence, as her hushed tones sliced through the pretense of my slumber. "He's so oblivious," she giggled, a sound that once brought me joy, now a venomous sting. Just snoring away. Each word was a shard of glass, embedding itself deeper, revealing a secret life I never knew existed. The mystery wasn't just who she was talking to, but who she had become. I lay there paralyzed, listening to the architect of my destruction plan her next rendezvous. And in that moment, a cold, calculated resolve began to form in the shattered remnants of my soul. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The humiliation hit me first, a tidal wave of nausea that threatened to drown me, oblivious, snoring away. Those words echoed, mocking me, stripping away every shred of my dignity. Sarah, my wife of 10 years, the woman I'd shared dreams and a mortgage with, saw me as nothing more than a convenient prop in her double life. The next morning, she kissed me goodbye, her lips tasting of betrayal, and I forced a smile, a mask of normalcy over the gaping wound in my chest. Over the next few weeks, her behavior, once dismissed as stress or a busy schedule, now screamed infidelity. Out. Late nights at work, vague excuses about girls' nights, and a sudden obsession with her phone, always face down, always locked. I started noticing the small things. A new, expensive perfume I hadn't bought her. A receipt for a high-end restaurant in her purse that wasn't for our anniversary. A subtle shift in her demeanor, a guardedness, a flicker of impatience when I asked about her day. One evening, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text preview flashed across the screen. "Can't wait for Dallas next week, my love. XOXO, Mark, Dallas." My blood ran cold. We had no plans for Dallas. This wasn't just a casual flirtation. This was an ongoing affair, a planned escape. The smugness of that XOXO from a stranger invading my home, my life, was unbearable. Sarah became increasingly cold, her affection a performance, her words laced with subtle manipulation. She'd gaslight me if I questioned anything, turning my concerns into accusations of insecurity. "You're being paranoid, John," she'd say, her eyes devoid of warmth. "Maybe you're just stressed about work." She made me feel like I was losing my mind, while she, the villain in my story, felt utterly untouchable, basking in her deceit. I remember one particularly dark night, sitting alone in our living room, the city lights of Chicago twinkling indifferently outside. I felt a profound, soul-crushing despair. The man I was, the loyal, trusting husband, was gone, replaced by a hollow shell. I cried until there were no more tears, until only a burning emptiness remained. But in that emptiness, a seed of something else began to sprout, a desire for justice, for retribution. My loyalty had been a weakness. It would be my weapon. The transformation from broken husband to strategic avenger was slow, meticulous. I started with the basics. I installed discreet cameras in the house, not to catch her in the act, but to document her comings and goings, her phone habits, her emotional distance. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Frank, from a small office in downtown Dallas. To track her movements when she was out of town, Frank's reports were clinical, brutal. Photos of Sarah laughing, holding hands with a man, Mark, outside a boutique hotel in the uptown district of Dallas, on McKinney Avenue. Receipts for lavish dinners, jewelry, and even a weekend getaway to Miami, all paid for by Mark. The affair partner. Mark was a real estate developer, married with a family in Dallas. He looked exactly as I imagined, slick, arrogant, with a self-satisfied smirk. I began to build my case, not just for divorce, but for total annihilation. I consulted with a divorce attorney, Ms. Evelyn Reed, a sharp, no-nonsense lawyer known for her aggressive tactics. "We'll need irrefutable proof of adultery, financial misconduct, and emotional distress," she advised, her voice calm but firm. "The goal isn't just to end the marriage, John. It's to ensure she pays for every single lie. My revenge plan had 3 prongs: legal, financial, and social. Legally, I wanted every asset she wasn't legally entitled to. I wanted to expose her adultery in court, impacting her professional reputation as a marketing executive. Financially, I started subtly moving assets, securing my own accounts, and documenting every joint expense she incurred with Mark. Socially, I planned to expose her to her friends, family, and professional network. The legal trap was set first. Ms. Reed filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, but we held back the adultery evidence. This was a strategic move, designed to lull Sarah into a false sense of security. She scoffed at the filing, confident she could manipulate me into a favorable settlement. "Don't be ridiculous, John," she'd sneer. "We can settle this amicably. You don't want to drag our names through the mud." The social trap was more delicate. I created an anonymous email account and a burner phone. I compiled a dossier of Frank's evidence, photos, hotel bills, flight manifests, text message screenshots from a recovered old phone of hers. A stroke of luck. I sent it to Mark's wife, his business partners, and Sarah's closest friends and colleagues. The emails were timed to drop just as the divorce proceedings were about to escalate. The public exposure was swift and brutal. The first domino fell when Mark's wife confronted him, leading to a very public, very messy divorce filing in Dallas. His business partners, fearing reputational damage, began to distance themselves. Then, the emails hit Sarah's circle. Her girls' nights evaporated. Her colleagues looked at her with a mixture of pity and disgust. Parents, conservative and deeply religious, were devastated and disowned her. The courtroom in downtown Chicago on Dearborn Street was where the final act played out. Sarah, once so composed and arrogant, sat across from me, her face pale, her eyes darting nervously. Ms. Reed presented the evidence with surgical precision: the detailed reports from Frank, financial records, the damning text messages. Sarah's lawyer tried to discredit the evidence, but it was overwhelming. The judge, a stern woman with no patience for deceit, listened impassively. When Sarah took the stand, she tried to deny, to deflect, to cry. But her tears were hollow, her performance unconvincing. "I made a mistake," she sobbed, looking at me, but I felt nothing. The man who loved her was long dead. The judgment was decisive. Sarah was awarded minimal alimony, stripped of her share in our Chicago brownstone, and her professional reputation was in tatters. She lost her job, her friends, her family's respect. Mark, too, was ruined, his business crumbling, his family fractured. They had felt untouchable, but I had shown them the true cost of their arrogance. I walked out of that courtroom into the crisp Chicago air, not with a shout of triumph, but with a quiet, chilling sense of finality. The revenge was complete, but it left an emptiness, a cold space where my love and trust once resided. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark reminder of the life that was, and the life that would never be again. The echoes of her giggling "he's so oblivious" still haunt my quiet nights.